A big afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen out there, and thank you for coming on live with me at this hour. Um, this, as usual, is the um, Born to Lead broadcast that we bring to you every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live simultaneously. I appreciate you out there for agreeing to come online with me at this hour. A big apology because I did not, um, as it were, did not do an advert earlier to this. All right, so I just apologize for not doing that. But I trust that many would come online with me, many would want to share um, this session with me because, again, over time, you've enjoyed what you've gained at this platform. So thank you for joining me at this hour. And at this moment, I would appreciate that anyone who comes online just simply register your presence by your, as it were, comments and let me know that you are online and let me know that you are listening and understanding what I'm talking about and that you're sharing in the broadcast that it's going out there live. So today I'll be talking about the difference between management and leadership. So I've tagged today's lesson as management versus leadership. Thank you for coming online. Thank you for joining me at this time. So, like I said, I've tagged today's lesson as management versus leadership. Now, a lot of people think or have always thought that management and leadership are both the same thing or they are one and the same thing as far as organizations are concerned. But studies have shown that there is a huge difference, a whole world of difference between leadership and management. Okay, a whole world of difference between leadership and management. And today, I'll take out time to look at these huge differences as far as we're concerned. So, if you agree with me, I'll just ask that you tag along as I talk about this difference between management and leadership. But before that, let me make this quick announcement. You would see just beneath my picture an advertisement for you to register for the Born to Lead Leadership Academy, the BTL Leadership Academy, um, so that um, you can be a part and parcel of this registration. Now, you would see a link out here. Just type on that link, fill in the forms. It's a Google form. It will let me know you filled in the form and you'll be registered. And this is as against the training that would commence on the 1st of February 2021. We're beginning with an online session because of the times and circumstances that we're in right now. We're not sure whether there will be lockdowns in Nigeria or not, because in some countries there are lockdowns in certain areas. So we want to be cautious ahead of time as leaders to ensure that what we do is to start with an online training. The fee for Nigerians is 10,000 naira, and that's just about three, four, sorry, just about less than $10. So please wherever you are, wherever you're reaching me from, just do well to be a part and parcel of this. Now, today's topic is one topic that will be extensively considered during the training. Okay, the difference between management and leadership. In fact, a whole session will be committed to the difference between leadership and other concepts. So, difference between leadership and management, um, difference between leadership and positions, difference between leadership and control or whatever. A whole session will be dedicated, a whole day, in fact, will be dedicated to that form of training. So we'll know the huge difference between these whole concepts. Now, other topics that will be discussed or highlighted are to help us understand leadership is understanding leadership. So there will give different definitions of leadership and the working definition of leadership as far as we are concerned at BTL. Then we'll talk about improving productivity. I touched on that last week. And if you know, if you're on Facebook, go to Born to Lead page or go to my personal page, Shedrack Bako. And if you are on YouTube, go to Born to Lead channel. You will see this lesson on improving productivity. All these are aimed at getting us to understand the concept of leadership and enabling us to live as leaders. Again, I would quote John Maxwell, who says that rise and fall depends on leadership. Okay? Everything, that's his explanation, or let me just say an explanation to that, because he says everything rises and falls on leadership. And it is true. It is true, it is correct, absolutely correct. Because the difference between two schools that run the same curriculum, okay, at the same pace, will be dependent on the kind of leadership that is available or provided. Okay, so while students in school A will excel, students in school B will fail, not because they were not taught the same curriculum, not because they were not given the same books, but basically because of the kind of leadership that has been provided by both schools. Okay? So when you provide poor leadership, everything falls. When you provide good leadership, everything rises. And even within the same community, the same environment, the same family, any day that there is good leadership, productivity is high. Okay? But any day that there isn't good leadership, productivity remains quite low. So we're going to look at leadership from all angles or from several angles to help us understand the reasons why our lives are the way that they are. Okay? And not many of us understand this. Again, this is a topic we'll treat in the course of the academy, leadership philosophies. Some of us are hooked to a particular leadership philosophy. Therefore, we run our lives based on that philosophy. Okay? There is the Greco Roman philosophy that tells you that only a few have been selected for leadership. Okay? There is the Jewish concept of leadership that tells us that all men can be leaders. And in fact, that all men were created as leaders. Okay? So these are at least two concepts, and we'll dig deep into this and see what they both say. But for today, let's look at this difference between leadership and management. Okay? Let's look at the difference between leadership and management. Now, I'm stating that all leaders are managers, but not all managers are leaders. All right? I give you a few seconds to think through this and try to understand the concept. Okay? I just give you a few seconds to think through this and try to understand the concept. All leaders are managers, but not all managers are leaders. What does this mean? Okay? Now, this simply means that successful leaders exercise good management in tune with their leadership style and qualities. Okay? They exercise leadership, and that leadership ensures that everything around them is in proper order and management. But managers do not necessarily provide leadership, which is to say that even though managers can have things in order, but people do not regard them as leaders. In fact, people are basically in a hurry to walk away from them, to move away from them as soon as the opportunity presents itself, because they do not relate with people as if they were relating with leaders. Well, sorry, I've just experienced power fluctuation, and I'll get that right in order pretty soon. But just note that today we're going to just highlight the differences between managers and leaders, and then I would hope that we'll have a full grasp and a full understanding of what it means to be a leader and what it means to be a So this is what we will be looking at even today. All right. Now, like I just said, today there isn't much time, so we're going to just highlight. I do not intend to spend a long time on this. I just intend to highlight some of the differences. Okay. And like I said, I'll just highlight them and move on. Now, if you register at the academy, you will have full details. If you register at the academy, you have a full detail of all the differences. I will break it down. Today, I'll just brush through the surface. I may not have the time to break it down. But at the academy, you can be sure that every detail will be broken down, such that if you have questions, you can ask. If you have suggestions to make, we'll be open to suggestions, because that is who leaders are. That's what leaders do. They're always open to suggestions. All right. Now, just take a look at this video clip, and it will highlight the difference, all right, between leaders and managers. And I do hope that you enjoy the clip while it lasts. Thank you. All right, so thank you for your time. Video was an adaptation from Powtoon, and I simply got it on the internet on YouTube, and I just thought to probably show it to us to give us an insight and an understanding as to what or how other people see the difference between leadership and management. Now, like I said, today we'll just highlight, okay, the differences between leadership and management. Now, to begin with, their definitions are quite different, highly different. So while leadership is about influence, or leadership is influence, management is about structure. An organizer, someone who sits atop a managerial office and organizes, coordinates, and plans or controls an entire environment. Okay, that's what you notice in the difference between leadership and management. So while leaders make efforts to influence people, to motivate them, and to inspire them towards a goal, towards a vision that has been casted by the leader. What followers do, or what managers do, is that they simply plan, they organize, they direct, they control, and staff an organization. Okay? They just try to staff an organization to give it the kind of shape that the owners of the organization intend for it to have. Okay? So that's the difference between, to begin with, that's the difference between leadership and management. That's a huge difference. Now, it may not seem so, but in reality, if you take a look at these two definitions, you would understand that there is a huge difference between leadership and management. Now, the other difference can be found in relationships. Okay, so while managers have subordinates, leaders have followers, and among such followers, or the aim of this leader concerning followers, is to develop them into other leaders, to build them up to the point where they become leaders like himself or like herself. Okay, so in relationship, there is a huge difference between managers and leaders. So while leaders have subordinates, followers, or leaders, oh sorry, excuse me, while leaders have followers who they develop into other leaders, all right, managers have subordinates. It's a control structure as far as managers are concerned. While in leadership, it's a relationship, a friendship session. Okay? Now, in terms of their key skills, managers are people who have quick, or well, have necessity to have quick decision. Okay? So quick decision making is one skill that managers have. as well as coordination. So while they make quick decisions, they try to coordinate the decisions to agree with every other aspect of the organization. Okay? Every other aspect of the organization. But for leaders, what they have is foresightedness. So their concern is not about how quick the decisions are made, even though if the decisions are made quickly, it will be of huge benefits to them. But the bottom line is that everyone grabs and understands the decision, but while looking at the things that they set ahead of them as goals. Okay? So leaders look far beyond, managers just are concerned with quick, immediate, coordinated decisions. All right? In approach, in approach, while leaders set direction, managers are more interested in, they are more interested in um, planning for activities. Okay, so where you have managers, what you have usually are activities. They bombard the environment with activities, so they are good at planning activities. It's not as if leaders are not good at planning activities. Leaders are equally good at planning activities, but what they do is they don't involve themselves in planning. They coordinate people such that these people are able to set out the planning. So what they do is they set out the direction and allow followers to do the planning for themselves. Okay? Again, that's a huge difference that we can see in regard to approach. The other is in style. So while leaders are transformational leaders or transformational persons who try to ensure that the environment is transformed, that every human being that has an encounter with them gets transformed, leaders are transactional. Transactional, just like the word transaction says. Okay, they reward you based on your services. Okay, they relate with you based on what good you can bring to them or render to them. They do not relate because they want to transform your life. They relate with you only because they can gain something from you and pay you back in return. These styles are different. Now, at the BTL Leadership Academy, we're going to even take time to look, define, and look at transformational leaders. Transformational leaders. Because our aim at BTL Leadership Academy is to help every one of us transform our immediate environment. So while we hear people grumble and complain about how I had a break in transmission. I'm very sorry for that. I was just talking about, I was trying to point out or emphasize the huge difference between managers and leaders. Okay, so I'm stating that what they strive for are entirely different things. Okay, what they strive for are entirely different concepts. Now, so while managers strive for efficiency, leaders strive for effectiveness. Okay, these two words, though having close to similar spellings, have two different meanings. You can be efficient and yet not effective. But once you are effective, you are most likely very efficient. Okay? Because these two words are different and mean two different things. So, what leaders do is that they focus on effectiveness while managers focus on efficiency. Efficiency. Remember, today we're just highlighting the differences, and at the academy, we'll look at these concepts in details. Okay, excuse me. So, what do they focus on? While managers focus on processes, leaders focus on people. For the manager, it doesn't matter how you get the work done. For the manager, you as an individual doesn't matter much. It is attaining and achieving a process that is of huge concern for the manager. But for the leader, people are his major concern. People are his great concern. People are the reason for which he leads, he or she leads. But for the manager, the process is his only concern. Okay? Now, where you have a manager who is also a leader, it becomes advantageous because the manager cares about people and cares about the processes and brings both together. That's a huge plus when you have a manager who is a leader. But if you have a manager who isn't a leader, what you have is someone who has great concern for the process while ignoring the people. Okay? I grew up in the Air Force Base and I saw a lot of managers where, soldiers have this saying, obey the last command, or they say, obey before concern, or before complain, rather. So, what is their concern? Their concern is that you follow the process, whether you die or not. Okay? Their concern is that the process should be adhered to by every human, whether you fail, whether you suffer any loss as a human or not. That for me isn't leadership. That is management. And that makes a world of difference between who a manager is and who a leader is. Now, one other difference is in their reaction to change. Okay? While managers react to change, leaders initiate and promote change. So once you enter an environment and you see someone kicking against change, or you see someone reacting and responding to change as against initiating and promoting the change, just note that that person is a manager. Okay? But when you see someone initiating and promoting change, and by the way, anytime that a change is promoted and initiated, some people suffer loss, including the leader, except for the fact that the leader knows that the change will ultimately produce good results, and so gets comforted and strengthened by that process. Whether he or she likes it, they suffer some loss. In nations where changes have been attempted, what you see is people kicking against those changes, disliking the change initiators, but applauding them after they have left their leadership place. All right? So while managers react to change, leaders do what? Leaders promote change. They promote change. And my encouragement to everyone is to stick to those who promote change, is to hold on tight to people who love change, initiate change, and promote changes. All right? That will keep you sane. That will make you or keep you healthy. Now, conflict. How do they respond to conflict? Managers avoid conflict, while leaders take advantage of every conflict. Managers run away from conflict. They see conflict as destructive. They see conflict as a challenge to their managerial position. However, leaders see change, see conflict as necessary, and yet leaders find a way to take advantage of the conflict, to teach lessons, to improve the organization, to um, um, to make better the environment. So, for example, all right, as soon as Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, leaves office on the 20th of January next week, okay, we will find out whether Joe Biden is a leader and whether members of the Congress are leaders. Because there has been a conflict in the last 2 months in the United States of America. Now, what leaders do is to take advantage of the conflict to initiate change, to promote change, to take people to the next level. But managers run away from conflict, even though conflicts are inevitable. As long as you live as a human, you can never run away from conflict. The next is to look at their perspective. To look at their perspective. So while managers are short range or have short range perspective, leaders have long range perspectives. I take it again. While managers have short range perspective, leaders have long range perspective. Leaders look beyond today. Leaders look beyond 5 years. Leaders look from 10 years and above. So they are planting a tree of which they are sure they will not sit under the shade, but they plant it today, knowing that 10 years from now, their children and grandchildren and perhaps great grandchildren will sit under the shade and be comfortable under that shade. And that's the huge difference between developing nations and developed nations. Developed nations always look at things from a long range perspective. Developing nations are short range in perspective. Okay? That, my friend, will lead us to the end of today's session. Like I said, the intention is to be brief and to just highlight, okay? Just highlight the differences between managers and leaders. Now, as you can see, just beneath my picture, the Leadership Academy will begin on the 1st of February. Already we're getting people who are registering. Okay? Now, our limit the number of persons who can attend every session. Okay? Because we want to be very effective at what we do. Let me say a big thank you to everyone who has joined today and to appreciate you for being a part and parcel of today's session. Do have a blessed week ahead of you, and I promise to come back next Wednesday with another interesting leadership topic to broaden your perspective. Thank you, and do have a blessed week ahead of you. Bye bye.